We are up to the Pei Vav Amid Aleph. And the last thing we discussed was whether if something was put inside the vessel that belongs to the purchaser while it's sitting in the house of the vendor, does it belong to the purchaser or not? And we don't really resolve it. But what we did say was that if the vendor said, be koine with the keli, then you will be koine. But the vendor didn't say anything, even though it was put in there, we don't know which way we go, and we discussed it yesterday. So we're up to the Pei Vav Amid Aleph, in the middle of the page, right in the middle, where it says Tanan Hasam, the end of the line. Tanan Hasam, we learned over there, Nechosim sheyesh lehem achrayis. So we learned in Kedushin, in the Mishnah, Nechosim, that sheyesh lechrayis, which means property, because you always sell it with a guarantee. Niknen, how do you acquire it? Through either kesef, with money, bishtar, a contract, or chazaka. We learned before, all the laws of chazaka is you have to mend the fences or make some repairs. But let's say metalton, but generally when you sell, you don't give guarantees. Ein niknen, the only way you can purchase it, ela b'meshich. We discussed there are a number of kinyanin. There's hagbah, which you lifted. There's mesira, where you transfer one to another. There's meshicha, when it's dragging. Here it seems to be saying that meshicha is the strongest kinyan. We did have a big machlekes Rishonim before. If mesira is considered the strongest kinyan, and then some say it is, some say it isn't. Then we said there's two kinds of mesiras. One where you take it on your own, which seems from the Rashbam, because if you took the tolfa. Another one is if the vendor transfers it to you hand to hand. And we said if the vendor transfers it to you hand to hand, that might be the strongest kinyan because they're both involved. Meshicha, you just pull it. Hagbah, you just pick it up. Over there, when he transfers it to you, his mom is giving it over to you, and you're taking it. That might be the strongest kinyan. But here we're going to learn the Gemara something interesting. So Meshicha, right now, the Gemara says, seems to be the only kinyan you can be kind of. So now the Gemara says, B'sura masna lahashmaita. In Surah, they learned the following halacha mashmeid Rav Chizah, in the name of Rav Chizah. In Pumpadisa masna, they learned it in the name of Rav Kahana. Ba'am, and others say mashmeid Rav, the name of Rava. When do we say that Mashiach is an appropriate kinyan? Devarim she'ein darken lahagbia. That things which are very heavy and it's too difficult to lift it. But if you did lift it, you will be kinda. Because now we're going to say kinyan hagbah is the strongest kinyan possible. Lifting is the strongest kinyan. So what's the idea? No, your hand. What's the idea of kinyan hagbah? So there's a long tzivah exos and the tzivah, for example. Is hagbah like a chotzer because inside your hand? Is that what it is? So then what's hagbah? Then it's really kinyan yad. What's the kinyan yad? The kinyan hagbah. So they talk about, instead of talking about if it's sticking outside of your hand, the kinyan yad is what's inside your hand. If it's small, very little things, money. But if it's sticking out of your hand, that will be kinyan hagbah. It's being lifted because of you. Then we have a chig Rashi says you have to pick it up 3 tvachim or 1 tefach to be kind of. But that's kinyan hagbah. So he said like this: when do we say that Mashiach is effective? Only if it's not common to lift it. But things which are common to lift, you're not kind of. These 3 Amoraim said that Mashiach won't work. If, for example, if it's small and you can lift it, you're not kind of Mashiach. What about if it's big and you normally drag it? You normally do Mashiach and you lift it instead. Will you be kind of Hagbah? We'll soon see that a raya from the Rishonim bring that you could. As we'll see. Yosef Abaye, come Lashmaita. Abaye repeated this sugya. Rav Adam asked Abaye a question, and we had this sugya here in Ksulas. We have the concept of Kamad Rabbaneh that if you commit, you did one act that incurs 2 punishments, Misa and Mammon. For example, you burn somebody's house down on Shabbos, so you Misa and Mammon. You're putter from paying money. Or you throw a spear at somebody and you kill him, and meanwhile you rip their mink coat. Since it happens at the same time, you putter from the Mammon because Kamle Rabbaneh. And we talked about it at length previously, and we'll get to the beginning of Makkah, so we'll talk about it again. So anyway, if you steal a wallet on Shabbos, chayiv, even though it's Shabbos, you broke into somebody's house, you're chayiv. Why? Because it was not simultaneously. It wasn't simultaneous. Why wasn't it simultaneous? Shekran is chayiv b'gneva kodesh of the Shabbos. When you're chayiv b'gneva, so you lift it. That's kinyan hagbah. Even though exactly. So hagbah, we say koine b'chol makom. Because it's in my hand. But you're not exactly. You're not chayiv Shabbos. Take it outside. So it's not simultaneous. What about how you got it? So you were dragging it on the ground and you were taking it out. So you weren't kind it in the owner's house. Is megara v'yotze then potter. Why you potter? Shari Easter Shabbos and the Geneva boikecha, because the Easter Shabbos and Geneva both happen at the same time. What do you mean both happen at the same time? Because when you're not, it's only when you drag it out of the house you did Mashiach, and only when you dragged it out of the house you're chayiv Geneva. The Gemara Ksuvas asks, where did you bring it to? If it's a Shusarabim, Shabbos Ika, Geneva Leka, because there's no Mashiach, we learned in the last few days, there's no Mashiach in the Shusarabim. You have to bring it into your own Shus, a symptom. So where did you bring it in? The Gemara gives a couple of answers. One answer is Kishetzidiv Yoda Lamata Megimel, which is you put your hand less than 3 tefachim to the ground, and you were sitting right next to, let's say, the step of the house. So you pull it from the house and you put it right into your hand. So your hand is in the Shusarabim. So Shusarabim, Shabbos, and Geneva come together. What exactly is the Kinyan big machlekes Rishonim? Whether it's like Kinyan Chotzer, which is what Taisus there learns, or it's Mashiach. You're kind of out Mashiach, and your hand is not bottled to the ground, so it's not like, as far as Kinyanim is concerned, it's not like a Shusarabim, so you did a Mashiach. But as far as Shabbos is concerned, since it's less than 3 tvachim to the ground, it's in the Shusarabim. Okay, so the bottom line is we're talking about Kinyan Mashiach here. Now, the Harikis is a wallet. How big is a wallet? Small. You just said anything which is a kinyan, which is small, and you can do kinyan hagbo. You're not kind of with Mashiach. No, so how come you chayiv here Mashiach? Harikis the hagbo, but if you're kind of Mashiach, you kind of Mashiach. It says right here. That is a right to Rashbam shot that Siv Yod Lamatim Gimel is Mashiach. Tracy therefore has to learn that this Gemara is not going to come to that answer, it goes according to the other answer. That you put it in the side street, according to Abelezer holds that a Tzidah Shusarabim has a din of a Shusarabim as far as Shabbos is concerned, but as far as Kinyanim is concerned, it's not a Shusarabim, so therefore it's like a symptom, you're kind of, that's how this Gemara goes. The Rashbam says it goes going to everybody, because he learns it's Mashiach. Bottom line is, why are you kind of Mashiach? Why are you kind of Mashiach? You just said you're not kind of Mashiach if you can do Hagbah. Amalei said, "B'misna." We're talking about one with straps. This wallet has straps. So he says, "So what?" I'm not. I know wallets usually have straps, but so what? It's a small thing. You can pick it up. Amalei. What I mean is, b'midid the boy missed. I don't know if it has straps or not, but it's so heavy. A wallet that is so big that the only way you can actually be kind of is through by pulling it. Now, if we're talking about it's a very big one. And that's why Mashiach here is good. And yet it says if you stole it, if you picked it up, it says in the first part of the Brisa, it's not simultaneous, it's not coming to Rabbaneh because you lifted it. So from here to all the Rishonim bring a raya that Hagbah is such a strong kinyan that even though it's uncommon because it's such a big item, but if you lift it, you're still kind of. Mashiach, if it's not common to use, you're not kind of because it's a weaker kinyan. Hagbah is such a strong kinyan that even if it's not the common way of being kinded, you will be kinded. Right? This is the right here. Okay, so no kasha on the din we said before. Toshma coming in from another place. Bishus Moiche, it said in the Brais we learned before. That's why we're bringing this whole din down because the Brais we had the 4 middas, the 4 different dinim. So there it said, what happens Bishus Moiche if it's inside the house of the vendor? Like kana, then the buyer is not kind Ajiag bi'ena. Either you lift it until you drag it out of the Mashiach. So we see clearly from here, we're talking about something that you can lift, and yet it says, but if you drag it out, you're also kind of. So we see Mashiach is effective even when you can do Kinyan Agba. Alma media the Baragba, if you want, you have a choice. Baragba can you, Mashiach can you. Clearly for me, you have a choice. What do you tell me that something where you can do the Kinyan of lifting, you're not going to with Mashiach? Who said we're talking about the same thing? The reason why the Braisa gives you 2 options is it depends on the size of the keli. Maybe the barakba, something that's very small, then barakba. Maybe the bar mashicha, the mashicha. So it's no right from here one way or another. You do it all the time. The fascia covers there. No, because this Gemara we had in Ksubas of Lamed Aleph. So he's quoting Rashi there. He loved Dafka. But surely Rashi, remember Rashi wrote 3 times Perushim on the Gemara. So possibly the other 2 they had. Toshma coming here. It says We learned before, if you sell, this is the mission we had before. If you sell fruits to your friend, as long as you made up a price, right? You're gonna say you said the price will be a dollar a kilo. Moshach, the buyer went ahead and started to drag, the paytas. If it didn't measure, because the measure is not to decide whether I'm going to buy it or not. The measure is to work out how much I'm going to pay you. But I know is how many kilos, 10 kilos, 5 kilos, 4 kilos. But whatever I take, I bought. Some kind of. Now, we're talking about fruits. I paid the Bnei Hagboninu fruits is something that you live, and yet a tani, the kind of Mashiach. What do you do? So it says Mefesh, Moshach. Now the Rashbam has a long pilpul here. So other than Shani, look at there's nothing. The Rashbam makes a whole pilpul. Very interesting. In the Mishnah draws a contrast between flax and between paytas. By paytas it says moshach. If you did a mashicha, you claim whatever you took. By flax it says achi tatenu memokum lemokum, which we're going to conclude in the Gemara is not mashicha. What do you mean memokum lemokum? You have to lift it up. No, it's hagbah actually. And why does it say memokum lemokum? Because usually when you pick it up and you walk out of the house. But right now, said the Rashbam, we think that it's talking about both are talking about mashicha. And yet, by paytas, it's enough to your moshach. And when it comes to flax, it says memakim lemakim. You remember a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, we had a big machlekes Ram Shmuel. How does Mashiach work? According to Rav, as soon as you move it a little bit, you already did Mashiach. According to Shmuel, you have to move the entire length. Don't mind the ship there. You have to move the entire length that the entire ship moved away from its original place. So we thought that the Mishnah is telling us there's a difference between flax and paytas, both Mashiach. But paytas, because each paytas is so small, as soon as you move a little bit, you basically move everything from its original place. Flax are long strips, therefore it says achi tatenu memokum lemokum, that you have to move it entirely. And maybe even Rab would agree in this case, you have to move it entirely, because by a ship, the water constantly is moving. You move it a little bit, already the whole thing moves. Over here, if you move, because it's so long, if you move the front, maybe the back doesn't move, and the ground itself is very stationary. So therefore, maybe Rab will be made to put sitting on a stationary place. You got to move the whole width, the entire length. So we're talking about Mashiach here, and we're talking about small paytas versus large. So clearly, we're talking about small. So you don't come to me with an answer. Oh, we're talking about watermelons. We're talking about it, and therefore you need Mashiach. Talking about small paytas because they're drawing a contrast between paytas and flax. No, so how come Mashiach works? That's the Rashbam's pulpit. And the Gemara says, so the Gemara answers, big, like the paytas all attached to each other, or big paytas. So the Gemara says, but tell me, Amos say, so flax, you tell me you do Mashiach. Why are you doing Mashiach? By you saying about flax as well. You do Mashiach, flax has also big fruit. So why you have to tell makom? It's the same, should be the same din. You're telling me that Peter talking about big ones. Well, flax also has big ones. So why is there any difference? So we're saying here that we're saying like this: flax, even if we're talking about small ones, we're not talking about Mashiach. Flax, we're talking about Hagbah. So why if it's small flax? Why flax is Hagbah? We're talking about small ones or big ones. Makes no difference. Flax is always Hagbah. Why? Shiny pish and the mishtamit, because flax slips out or falls out of the bundles or everything else. Therefore, if you're going to pull it, it's going to fall out. You're going to lose it. So flax, when the Mishnah says achi taltenu memokum, we're talking about hagbah. And why memokum? Because that's what normally you do. You do hagbah, you walk out. But when it comes to paytas, why we're talking about mashiach? We're talking about big paytas, or it's all attached, and therefore you have to pull it across. Again, no kasha, what we said before, but something which is shaykh hagbah, the only way to be kind is through hagbah. So anyway, right. Another again from the Gemara, it says like this: from Kedushin. Interesting that all the laws of Kinyanim are in Kedushin, which the Chayda doesn't really. They're talking about a Kinyan of a woman there, and yet all the laws of Chavav is where all the dinima, which is interesting. Toshma coming here. Behema gasa, a large animal, niktas b'mesida. How you can't lift or anything else. We did have an Shimon, if you remember, by an elephant. You put the straw up there and he jumps up. But he said behema gasa, you can't even see that. You pass the reins. And that's what that long traces is, which is a better kinyan. The hadaka and a small one, like a lamb, you can lift it easy. So you lift it, therefore that's how you kind of do it. No problem with that. Our problem is the Chachamim. The Chachamim say behemadaka meshich. Now, since the fact is a behemadaka can be lifted, and you just said before, anything which you can lift, you're not kind of with meshicha. Why behemadaka meshicha? Well, behemadaka the bahagbo turn to kind of meshicha, you kind of meshicha. The Gemara shiny behema likes to have its feet on the ground, so it puts its weight down because it wants to be on the ground. It's hard to lift, even though it's small, but animals don't feel comfortable being lifted. So therefore, it's easier to pull them.
Only like 4 for a shed.
Exactly.
Because they can lift it.
But it's hard work. I'm saying it's in a way. Okay, true. 4 times is still a lot.
No, but I'm saying he's really embarrassment taking it for having a sheep on his back.
Okay, true. But then, so therefore, over there, it's not so common. No, the word is it's common to do meshicha when it comes to the dak. Okay, now the Gemara says Rabbi Shmuel, the Amri Tavayu, Rabbi Shmuel both say, and we're going to again go back to the Braisa. So there's a lot of dinim we learn from this Braisa about Arba Midas. There are 4 different dinim. Rabbi Shmuel both say, if I say to you, I'm going to sell you a car is 30 saw, I'm going to sell it you for $30, 30 slug. That means I'm saying it's as if I'm saying you're not interested in buying it unless I get a full car. So Kozman, the Lokech doesn't have in his vessels a full car, the sale hasn't happened. He can walk away. The Meicher can walk away because I don't want less, I don't want more. I want exactly a car. So Koy B'Shleishan and Meichlach, Yachal Lachs, but both of them can change their mind. I feel a b'sachrin. I gave you 29. What do you call saw? I want 30. But if I say the following, koir b'shleishim saw b'sela, I'm going to sell you 30 saw. Each saw a sell is equal a seller. Is as if each saw the deal is done. Exactly. Each saw is like a sold. Exactly. So I did only 15. Whatever you got, you got. You can't walk away. You can walk away maybe from the rest, but whatever you got, you got. And whatever entered his keli is covered. That's the chiddush of Rabbi Shmuel. It's a very similar idea. I'm renting you this house for $12, $1 a month, and then we had a shaila. We know which one he meant. But then there was a shaila because they contradicted. There was a conflict between the first words and the last words. Here they're synonymous. I'm selling you 30 saw for 30 slaim. Sell a saw. Toshma, coming here. We learned in the Braisa before, Im and let's say the vessel belongs either to the Meicher or to the Lekech, and we said, whoever's vessel it is, you're kind of. So if it's the Meicher's, it still remains with the Meicher, and the Meicher can change his mind. If it's with the Lekech, whatever came in, came in. Im and it says there, it says it by the Lekech, even though I made up with you a certain amount. I'm going to sell you a certain amount, even though you didn't get the full amount. Whatever is inside the keli of the lekech, it's his. Why? You just said that it's not a sale until you get the full quantity that I ordered. I ordered 10 kilos. You only put in 5 kilos on the keli. You said whatever's in the keli, I feel it on your smell. It belongs to the lekech. Why? Yeah, I want the full 10. Well, wait till you get the full 10. So what happens? You know what we're talking about over here. He going to Amalei. He said, "Hin b'shneim asa slaim leig b'selani meichloch." He said that I'm going to sell you whatever the amount is, and each leig is a seller, and therefore, uked Amar Avkana, like Avkana said, shnosas hoya behin in the base of Mikdash. They had these they had these measuring cups. Remember, each animal had different amounts of how many legs it is. Half of a hin, or a third of a hin, or a quarter of a hin, and the hin was, let's say, 6 legging. So half is 3 legging for a par, or it was at 2 legging, or for a kevis, actually, it's only 1.5 legging. So they had markers. So here there were markers, and therefore, because there were markers, it's as if I made up. I didn't even have to say sell it, because I put it in your keli that I had these lines, kilo. Each kilo line had a line. It's as if I made up with you that $1 per line, $1 per kilo, and therefore whatever you have is yours. Is kind of. Toshma, coming here. This is a very interesting halach. You hire a worker. Generally, let's say you pay $1 a day for the service. But once the busy period, You have to pay $5 a day. So you hire a worker for, let's say, for your farm. When it's quiet season, you pay, let's say, a dollar a day. When it's the busy season, time of the harvest, and everything else, you pay $10 a day because there's a shortage of workers and everything else. So what you did was, you're smart. You decided to hire him today, knowing that the season is coming in 2 months' time. And you say to the guy, I'm going to prepay you now, but as a dollar a day, because today's rates are a dollar a day. But I want you to work for me during those 2-3 months. That is the busy season, but I'm going to pay you now. So the chayda, why are you agreeing? Why are you agreeing to take less money now? It's like ribus in a way, because you got the money up front. That's like aganata. The reward for having this money here up front, you're giving me back something. It's like I'm lending you the money, and you're going to pay me back when you with your service, with your work, and I'm getting extra because you're charging me a discount. You give me a big discount instead of charging me $5 a day for your service. You charge me $1 a day. So that's ribus. Now I'll do that. But if I say to you, start working for me right now for the next 100 days, included in that 100 days will be 60 days that it's a higher premium. But I'm giving you the money now, and I'm telling you that start working for me right now. Then it's no longer aganata because you talk work for me right now. The job is started already. So I am getting a discount. It's not aganata. Now the question is going to be, if we view each day as a separate, if we view each saw as a separate thing, or whatever you use in your keli, your koina, then each day should be treated separately. So what if I'll give you the money right now? So what if today the dollar value, the payment value is a dollar, but in a month from now, every day is a separate a dollar a day. I'm telling you, a dollar a day. So when it comes to those, the 30 days that you're supposed to be charging me $5, each day is separate. It's unrelated to what happened before. No, it's mamish the same thing. Aganata. What's the difference if I start working now? According to Rabbi Shmuel, that say that if you if you itemize how you're paying a dollar a day, then each day is separate from the day before. Whatever's in my keli is mine already. What's going on? That's the most question. Tashma. If I tell you that I'm hiring a worker to work with me for the guider for the season when it's busy, in the time of harvesting and then putting in the granary and all that, the threshing floor, a day, a dinner. Well, the guide in your facela, but in reality, what would you normally pay by a guide? You pay for dinner. You pay a selam. You're not allowed to have enough from this worker because it's mamish like ribs. But I gave you the money up front, you give me a heavy discount. If I hire you from today and on, I hire you from today and today the rate is there. I'm paying you now and you're starting to work for me right now. Meanwhile, included in that will be the premium, the high season of well. Then it's mutter. Now the question is, if you tell me that if I tell you 30 saw is for a seller per saw, it's as if each saw is independent from the next saw. Every single day you work for me is not related to the next day. Every day is like a new deal. But also it should be forbidden. So how come it says over here that so why does it say over here but I said that if I'm saying a dinner today and even though it includes also the goyim, which is worth the seller, it's mutter. According to your cheshbon, should be aganatan. Amar Rabba says, interesting. What does this have to do with ribas? I didn't lend any money. There's no loan taking place here. There's no sale taking place. It's a service. If a guy is desperate for a job, I remember when I got married, there was a guy in New York, named Davidson. What he would do is he would hire all these people who came out of school for computers. It's very hard to get a job when you have zero experience. So he would hire you and pay you nothing, but he would give you 3 months of training, sitting in, and now you have a resume. You can say you worked at a proper company for 3 months. And you've been trained. So now, and most of them went on and they got jobs. They helped out a lot of people. So would you call that a loan? Or we call that, even though today it's, I think, illegal to do anymore. They say it's considered slavery. But then he helped out so many people. So the Gemara says it, since when every employee has the right to say, you know what, the normal rate is $100 an hour. I'm desperate for a job. I need money. I'll charge you $10 an hour. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing to do with ribis. There's no sale here. It's a service. And I have a right to charge you for my time, whatever I want. There's no law. Today we have all these laws, how much minimum wage and all that kind of stuff. There's no laws. Then you pay whatever you want. Omar Rava. So Rava said, the Tizbra. If a guy wants to discount how much they charge for their services, is that awesome? Not at all. So how come the nation, when I said to you, no, I'm hiring you now for the time of the busy season and I'm giving you money now, we said it's awesome. If there's no interest, if the guy can charge for his time whenever he wants, what's the problem? So you said, the problem the nation is optics. It looks like I lent you money now because you're not working for me today. It looks like I'm lending you money now and you're paying me back with your work by discounting. Looks like. Because he's not serving me straight away. It looks like aganata. Say for the mahashta because he's working straight away. This is what you charge me for your service. So there's no aganata here. Just finish the Mishnah. We said it is flax was attached to the ground. The tolash koshu, and he started cutting it off. He's cutting the entire flax, even that which is still growing. And you might have the colors kosher. Why? Because you cut a few stalks of flax, you're kind of the rest of the flax in the deal. How you kind it? How you kind it? It's in the guy's vendor's property. What kinyan did you make here? What we're talking about here. The Amalei said, "Lech go yafalach karka kosher, improve the karka a little bit." The koni koma ashal be kind of everything there. Big machek is showing you what exactly means. Taisa says it means make like a kinyan chazaka, right? Make kinyan chazaka, and then you'll be kind of like chatzah. Taisa says mechadish. There's a famous shachat that disagrees. Taisa is mechadish that karka can be kind of karka through kinyan chatzah. The shachol you cannot here. This is why is it called karka? Because l'chayda. The flax that's growing and it's attached to the ground is like karka. What's the status of the flax when it's mechubel karka? It's like karka. When you match the karka, the flax is included with it. It's like karka. And yet Tosha says here, the karka now that I made a kinyan chazak, he's allowing me. He said, okay, growing in these 10 square amas is going to be your flax. Make a little kinyan chazak. That's one of the ways of koining. So you koin the entire 10 amas, and then whatever is inside the 10 amas, you're koin. The flax that's growing is like karka. We discussed yesterday. Machlekes if the thing's already in the metaltlin, can you be kind of the kinyan chatzar or not? Here we're talking about. We're not going into that machlekes. We're going to nothing else. Here l'chayla your chatzar is being kind of karka, and the poskim, many poskim, there's the machlekes based on this word here. If karka be kind of karka, so those who hold that karka cannot be kind of karka, which is the shach. How do you understand? Places here is because he says because the flax you're eventually going to harvest it and cut it off, it has a din of metalton even right now. But the Rashbam says that he says that by you pulling out. What do you call it? By you pulling out, you're beautifying the karka, and therefore you beautify the karka. You're kind of the flax is part of the karka. So you kind of not out chotzim. This is the karka. This is the karka. By pulling out a few pieces of flax, you're beautifying the land, and that itself is not make another kinyan. That itself, lech. He said, go and pull out a few stalks of thing. That itself is the kinyan. Is the kinyan what do you call it? Chazaka that is kind of the karka, and included in that will be the flax growing. Because it's mechubel karka and it's shorich karka. You didn't cut it yet. You cut two. By cutting these two, you mayafa the karka. You took out. So now that you made a kinyan chazaka because you improved the ground, and that chazaka is kind of the karka and it slept along with the karka. Others say it's agav. What? We had a shitta there. A number of people say that, but this is not kolaim lekatzer. Most of the Shainim say we're talking about it that it's still tzadichim lekarka. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a din of karka. Yeah.
Going to harvest it's already done.
Right now we said it. That's how the achreinim answer the shach. Look, the shach says that karka cannot be karka through kinyan chatzah. So it says right here that the karka is exact. So as far as that is concerned, we treat like metal, not like karka. Okay, we continue tomorrow, Mr. Shem.